I grew up in upstate New York in Woodstock, famous for the Woodstock Festival. Woodstock is also a music town. It's like a rich history of music. Bob and Peter Tosh and Toots was like around me. My friend Jackie Jusium, who's like, you guys should do a mixtape with Vybz Kartel. And even then, the way he worked was really unique and really fast and really smart and precise.
What is on your mind? Make we have a time.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please remember to leave a rating and review. And if you're listening or watching on YouTube, remember to like, comment, and share this episode. Now grab your tea, coffee, or a glass of wine, and let's talk to things. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to your favorite self-improvement podcast, Let's Talk to Things, where we discuss personal growth, music, travel, and film while encouraging you to live fearlessly and fabulously. This week, we are talking to things with the founder of Federation Sound and a renowned, internationally known DJ, Max Glazer. Hi, Max. How are you?
Hey, Ash, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Of course, of course. So, for the first segment of our show, we like to do a little icebreaker, and it's called Dat Na Sound Safe. So everyone thinks it sounds a little scary, but it's not. It's just good fun. So basically what I'm going to do is read messages or social media posts that listeners sent in. And if you think it sounds crazy or a little bit concerning, maybe you don't agree, you just say that na sound safe and explain why. And if you do agree, you just say you agree and explain why. Sounds good?
All right. I think I can handle this.
You can say that na sound safe. I feel it.
I don't know if I might have to give it to you in proper English.
No worries. Whatever you're comfortable with.
We'll get the point across. For sure.
Yes, for sure. All right. The first person said, people and time will teach you more than books ever can.
Do I have to go with that? Doesn't sound safe.
No, you can be in the middle. You can explain. It's up to you.
I think both of them are essential to the teaching process and learning the things that we learn. I
agree.
I have a great love for books. I love to read.
Nice.
And I also love to sit around and have conversations with people like we're doing now.
Yeah.
I feel like one without the other, you sort of, if you do just the people, you can get the kind of street smarts and the day-to-day stuff. But then you don't have the other part of it. And
like the institutional knowledge.
Yeah, and if you do just the books and just the studying, and you can't engage and interact with people, you kind of, I feel like those are two halves of the same thing that you need both of them. You're going to get a lot of answers like this from me that are like long-winded and not a direct yes or no.
No, but you know what? That's good. I like to have that dialogue because I actually agree. I think that you need both, but I see what this person means in that I think you learn a lot just by observation of people's behavior and time. So for example, let's say someone does something that you don't really like. If you stick around long enough, you'll note if that was just like they were having a bad day or if that's truly their character. So in that sense, I agree. But to your point, I just think in order to live just a good life or a knowledgeable life, you do need both, right? Because you can't just be book smart and not be personable or street smart, because that can get you into problems. And then you can't be street smart, but you can't hold an intellectual conversation, you know?
You kind of need both. And like, I tend to tie all things back to like what I do as a DJ. And I have to it's very interactive. I have to interact with people. So if I just do the technical part of it and the sort of mathematical and making the songs match together and all of that without any regard for, again, it's like a perfect analogy, like without any regard for what's happening in the world, in the space and the context where I'm doing it.
Absolutely.
It's sort of like it's not it has to be engaged with people. So like that's my frame of reference for everything, is like, because that's what I do. Is, perhaps if you're a NASA scientist,
Right.
you need a lot more of the book smart, and you don't necessarily have to go into a room full of people and interact with them, and be able to do that part of it, because you're so highly specialized and brilliant at this book smart or computer smart aspect of what you do. That means a great question. It's probably different for a lot of people,
Yeah, of
but
course.
certainly in what I do and what you do and what we're doing here together
Yeah.
today,
Need
I think
both.
the greatest result is a combination of both.
Yes, I absolutely agree. So
Yeah.
we're in the middle on that. Kind of sounds safe, but it kind of don't sound safe. It's in the middle.
Yeah.
All right. The next person said, forget a breakup. Have you ever craved food that's not in your city?
All the time.
Yeah,
Well,
I completely understand this person.
but I'll also give you a more complicated answer, because I live in New York. So I do
Oh,
have access to food from all
I
over the
was about
world.
to say you have the best access.
I have great access. So for me, when I say of course, but the way I solve that problem
Yeah,
is, if I'm like, I can find it in New York. You know
that's
what I mean?
true.
I
Yeah,
don't crave it and then have to wait till I go to that a foreign country.
that's
But,
true.
but there are but again, long-winded and complicated answers is my specialty.
That's your
Um,
specialty.
but there are like specific restaurants. Like there's a Chinese restaurant in Belize
Uh-huh.
City, called Chonsan, that my friends took me
Oh,
to,
yeah,
and I've eaten there a bunch of times,
yeah,
and I love that place. And part of it is like the environment and the thing. It's like the food is great, but it's not
everything.
just the food. But I'll wake up and be like, man, I'll call my friend. I'll call my friend who lives there, who took me
Yeah.
there. Be like, oh man, I wish we could go to Johnson. And he'll call me when he's there. Be like, yo, guess where I am? So I also do get that longing for a specific thing that I don't have access to even in New York.
Yes, everybody, all my listeners know I love my belly. I love food. And New York is, like you said, one of my favorite places for that. So, two places I crave all the time. One is Tatiana, it's like an Afro Caribbean restaurant.
I haven't eaten there yet, but I know about it well, and
You
everybody
have
raves.
to go. They are not paying me to say this, but they don't need to. It is so good. And I have to tell you a little story. So, I don't eat red meat, right? So I don't
Okay.
eat goat or anything like that. But I went there one day and I went by myself, and it was great. I went by myself because they're always packed. So, it's hard to get a reservation. So the guy was like, "Oh, you can sit at the bar." I'm like, perfect. Cause I just want to try the food. I'm just there for the food, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I go, and these two guys are sitting next to me, and they order curry goat patties. I don't pay it any mind because, like I said, I don't eat curry goat. So that's not tempting to me. But you see, when they brought the patty, oh my God, Max, the smell just hit me in my face. I said, oh my God, normally I don't talk to strangers, but I had to ask the man how it tastes because it smelled so good. And
Yeah,
so, long
yeah.
story short, I ended up trying it, and I was nervous because, like I said, I don't eat red meat like that. So I was like, am I going to have like a bad reaction? It was so amazing. I was dreaming about it for like a month, and I had to go back. I had to go
But
back.
okay, so now my question to you is,
Hmm.
so you still, as a general rule, don't eat
Yeah.
red meat and you don't eat goat. Okay, so it didn't knock you completely off the wagon, but when you go back there, you are having the goat again.
Oh, of course.
Okay, fair enough.
Dad, if you're watching this, don't don't be upset with me. But
That's a great way to live life, which is like, look, there's something that you don't do. Like if 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 you find yourself in the time, the place, and the right circumstance, and you
yes,
feel like it's the right thing to do,
yes,
you do it. And I have things like this in my life where uh like I didn't eat red meat for a long time, but I
yeah.
also, even when I ate some red meat, I never ate oxtail. It was just like a specific thing.
Oh,
It's like I don't know. It's weird to me. I don't eat
yeah.
oxtail. Um,
Okay.
and one time
Hmm.
I just was like, feel like I have an oxtail. But it was a little bit of a hard hurdle to get over because mentally I was like, I'm someone that doesn't eat I don't eat
You
oxtail.
told
I don't eat
yourself that.
oxtail. But the
Yeah,
only person stopping me is me. So I just said,
that's true.
okay. Like and it like there's no because people there would always be like peer pressure and be like, oh my
Yeah.
God, you don't eat oh my God, you don't get extra oxtail gravy on your
Yeah.
whatever. So so people would always say something about it and make a
Yeah.
fuss, but it was just in this kind of in a quiet moment, no one else around that I was like,
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, let me try it.
And what was the verdict?
Phenomenal, fabulous,
Phenomenal. That's
fabulous.
another thing. But you know what? Oxtail is tricky for me. My aunt's oxtail is the only oxtail that I can eat. I
There
don't
you
know
go.
why, but and because of that, it's like once every year, like Christmas or something like that.
But that's perfect. Then you're not, it's not something you're doing every day. You're maintaining, like you have a special, it's tied to
Exactly.
like a special occasion, or in this case, like a special person that,
Yeah.
if she lived next door, it might be a
Oh,
different story.
problems.
Right.
Problems.
A different story. You'd go through like 2 months, then be like, no, I can't do this. Eating it
Exactly.
every day. So, and also at least, good things in moderation.
That's so true. And then my second restaurant, I don't know if you've been there, is Lucali's in Brooklyn. Have you been there? It's a pizza place.
I know about Lucali's.
Okay.
Everybody raves about it.
Yeah.
I am unfortunately gluten free and dairy free, so I can't
Oh.
eat that, and it
Oh
kills me because everyone
no.
and there's Lucali's, and also like we have great pizza places in New York.
Yes, that's what I heard. So every time I tell people, they're like, "Oh, you got to try this," and I'm like, you know what? No, I don't, because it's bad enough that I love that. So I don't. If I try any more good pizza, it's problems.
So that's one of those things is like that's just off my table.
Oh,
So I don't
so you wouldn't
because
even know. Okay.
but otherwise that would be, I mean, every day. Can you imagine the temptation every time I leave my house? And even like in New York, as long as you
Yeah.
don't go to like Domino's or a chain,
Yeah. Yeah.
almost every like New York pizza place is on some level of good. Is it
Oh,
great? Maybe it's not great, but like in terms of pizza, like
yeah.
even the most moderate average ones is like really good. And then there's like hundreds of really good ones.
Oh my
So that's
gosh.
tempting because that's really in my face everywhere,
Yeah,
every day.
everywhere. Oh, well, before we move on, I have to now ask you, what would you say are your maybe top two or three favorite Caribbean restaurants in New York?
Caribbean restaurants. I mean, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I love Miss Lily's,
Oh, okay.
where I also work. I've been a part of like consulting and doing music and
Oh,
entertainment and
nice.
nightlife stuff with them since they opened their original restaurant in New York about
Oh,
14
nice.
years ago. Um,
Okay, I've
so that
never been. I need to try there.
so that's been like a home base for me. So that's like
Nice.
that's got to be on the list.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think of where else. It's interesting because for me in New York,
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, for me in New York for Caribbean food,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not necessarily going and looking for, sit down, more of like a kind of like special occasion experience. I'm
Ah,
just like a
go
box
grab
food,
something.
something to
Yeah.
like grab those, and I love those places.
Yeah.
There's an amazing vegetarian place called Ito Fusion on
Oh,
Nostrand,
oh, that sounds good.
which is great. Yeah, that's definitely probably like
Nice.
my other go-to, and it's too pretty because Miss Lily's is make a reservation, sit down,
Yeah.
like proper.
Yeah.
But a lot of places that don't even have a table
Are the
to
best
sit
places,
down.
right?
Yeah, that's what it's been. Yeah, if I'm getting Jamaican food in New York more often than not,
Yeah.
it's like grab it. I might, if it's nice out, I might sit down outside and eat it. If it's the winter, I might sit down in my car with a plastic fork and
Nice.
enjoy it. And it's like, I mean, I also enjoy that experience. It's just like,
Yeah.
and also like because a lot of times if it's late at night,
Mhm.
coming home from a DJ gig, Pepper's Jerk Chicken is open. Pepper's is open 24 hours. Pepper's
Oh,
on
wow.
Flatbush, like
Oh
their
my
original one they
gosh.
franchised, and they have a bunch.
Yeah.
Um, so that's a
Nice.
place that you'll hear if you ask people about like New York jerk chicken. Uh,
Okay.
Peppers is kind of the original top of the list, although there are a bunch of contenders now, but they're
Yeah.
and they're open
They're at the
24
top of the
hours.
list.
which but the 24 hours is like if you go there like dinner time, it might be empty. But if you go
Yeah.
there at 4 in the morning, it's like
That's
cars
the
parked
place.
all the way down Flatbush. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's smart though. That's a smart from a business perspective or for business acumen. Okay, a couple more. Someone else said, for some people, it's very triggering that you have the audacity to do what they won't.
I mean that doesn't sound right, but it's true. It depends on how we're assessing it. Like, yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, unfortunately, right?
Yeah, yeah, a part of life. I mean, it's a part of life.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? I always say that because we have conversations about that in some realm because everyone that's on here has some sort of success in their own way, right? And unfortunately, while it's mostly positive, it does come with a little bit of, I don't know if you'd call that envy or jealousy or, people being unsupportive until you reach a certain level. I think what a lot of us go through in Caribbean culture is like trying to get support, but it's not there until, maybe America recognizes you or you get recognized by like a big name, which I
That's
find is difficult for people.
that's the story of reggae music. That's the story
That's,
of rock. Yeah, and even the band that your father played in is
yeah,
guys are big in Jamaica, but the real kind of explosion came upon getting big around the world and
absolutely.
then coming back to Jamaica and then um the sort of, oh, okay, you guys made it in the world, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's a big part of the history of reggae music reaching the world. And then and look, I think it's something that Jamaica, I think, probably still struggles with in
oh, of
terms
course.
of artists and the entertainment sector feeling like they don't get enough or could and should be getting more support
Hmm.
um, for this, massive cultural export of of the country, which is, music and the culture.
Hmm.
Of Jamaica. It's not a corporate business. There's corporate involvement, but that's a discussion that I always hear
Yeah.
uh, people having in regards to uh, even today the respect, the support, the financial support,
Hmm.
um, for this amazing cultural export. And it's like, again, something that started before then, but in the days of like when reggae was born,
Yeah.
kind of grew and was seen as one thing and was like all over the place. Look, I think that's uh, some of that is just that's the way it is. A lot of
Hmm.
people, it's not coming from like a negative perspective, but a lot of people can't see something until they can physically see it in front of them. They're not they're and not everybody is supposed to be. It's not everybody's job to be looking out and understanding, like, the global perspectives on all of these things. So I think in a lot of cases it just takes the physical example, someone doing it, for
Right.
people to go, oh, that can be done. And then some people who are more entrepreneurial and experimental and adventurous can imagine what can be done,
Hmm.
and how big something like, you know reggae music or just and any of these things can grow.
Yeah.
So I think some of it is also just perspective. And then of course there's certainly people that are just
Yeah.
jealous of other people because it's something that they want to do, and for whatever reason
They're
they're
not doing it.
they're not able
Yeah.
to do it. But in whatever field it is, I always feel like there's always room for everyone who wants to be doing it. And
Absolutely.
if you're not having that success and you're feeling that way, that's probably part of a good part of the reason why you're not actually like elevating into whatever level it is of whatever thing that you're doing, because
Yeah.
you're spending time and energy upset, worrying, jealous
There you go.
about someone else who's not spending that time feeling that way about you.
Mhm.
They're spending the time and the energy doing whatever the thing is.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. So twofold, I agree with what you said. I very much agree with the quoter saying, you can't be what you don't see. So sometimes people can't even imagine something. My parents tell me stories all the time about who Bob Marley was as a person. And I just had his granddaughter on here. And I was telling her that, a lot of people see this larger than life person, but he was really just a really talented person, really generous person that then got, I guess, the forward, as we would say, from America and the UK, and then turned into this larger than life entity. And it's great because now his children, grandchildren can, carry his message and continue on. But the fact that he had to do that or get that recognition to then be appreciated is so sad. And like you said, it happened with Toots and the Maytals. It happened with Uncle Sly. It happened with, I had Uncle Dean on here, Dean Frazier, Uncle Ken Booth. Everyone I've spoken to has told me the same story, really. And I'm just amazed. I'm honored I get to share and hear these stories because I think as generations pass, we're losing a lot of that because now we're blessed with having like social media and artists being able to kind of curate their messages and get their messages out to the world. Where, as you mentioned, my dad, my uncles didn't have that opportunity before. It
Their
was
message,
more difficult.
yeah, their message just traveled through the music.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then when they were on tour, if you were, it's a very small fraction of people that would even get to see even the biggest artists like out in the world. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's very different. It's super interesting because you don't have to wait for someone to come interview you. You
Yeah.
just turn on your phone and deliver the message.
Absolutely. So yeah, I agree with that one in the sense of I can see where that's coming from, but the last point I want to touch on is I agree with what you said. The person that feels like that should focus that effort on themselves because it's never going to benefit you to focus, any type of animosity towards someone else. You should use that energy to help
Yeah.
yourself.
And I get it. Look, I mean, in some ways, like there's some a part of like just a natural part of being a human that like those feelings can occur. It's
Mhm.
really just about like, do you choose to like turn into that and
Yeah.
and and follow that, or do you go, okay, well, what am I doing? What should I be doing? And take it from there.
Exactly, exactly. Perfect. All right, the last one is kind of related how this conversation ended up going, but the person said focus on the support that's showing up, not the people who you thought would show up.
So as you were reading it, I'm sort of like one way, but the final part, the people that you thought would show up, that's
Yeah.
um about your, not get, it's a lot of discussion currently and probably always,
Hmm.
um of your friends and those closest to you, the people that you feel like should be supporting you the most,
Yeah.
not, and strangers via social media and the internet or whatever
Are
being the
doing it more.
supporters and the ones that are. But again, like yeah, of course
Yeah.
of course people should, but
Hmm.
also like people have their own things and they're doing it. And I think
True.
for the most part, this is how I like to think. For the most
Yeah.
part, people are occupied, and not in a bad way, with themselves, with their lives. People have lives, they have kids, they have families, they have work, they have this, they have that, they have the other
True.
thing.
Yeah.
So when people can and do,
Hmm.
um, it's great,
Hmm.
but also that can't be the basis
There you go. Took the
of
words out
what
my
you
mouth.
need to elevate. It's almost like those people are going to be there when they can be there, when they want to be there, when they choose to be there.
Yeah.
But the real kind of growth has got to come from outside of your initial world, and it's great to have that support. But
Hmm.
as you kind of like move and grow, the to build anything like what you're doing here, um, it's great to have. And you obviously, from the list of people that you've interviewed, you have a lot of that support, and it helps. It certainly helps
Yeah.
a ton. But also, the next phase of that is growing this to people that don't show up because it's you.
Hmm.
They show up because they found what you're doing and
Yeah.
they're interested in it and it's engaging. That's I don't want to say more meaningful, but it's like ideally those two things work in
Congruently.
concert.
Yeah.
Yeah, hand in hand.
Yeah.
Um, but again, like all of these things, like both of the things are, are super important.
I agree. And I think that you make such a good point. I think overall, what you're trying to say, and please correct me if I'm wrong, because I do agree, is that you shouldn't look for you shouldn't be focused on the applause or the negativity from the outside, because that controls you then. If you're so focused on, oh my gosh, everyone's clapping for me, that means when they stop, you're going to feel like, wait, am I not that good because no one's clapping? Versus just focusing on your path, focusing on what you want to do. And yes, everybody wants applause. Everybody wants to feel appreciated. Let's not take away from that,
Yeah.
but that shouldn't be your focus. You know what I mean? Because then you're basically at the mercy of the public or outside entities.
Yeah, and you want the people, those closest around you, to support you and to
Of
be there for you.
course. Yeah.
But also, like, if any of those individuals are not, does that mean you shouldn't keep doing
No.
what you're doing? Like, yes,
Yeah.
it's great to have that, but it's also just more about, like, same thing as before, just like, I don't know, whatever your work is, just do it. And like
Yeah.
some days I really get up and feel like I want to do it, and some days I'm like super bummed out. And the kind of like encouragement, or just like one event that's full of
Yeah.
like great people and great energy, or someone coming up and being like, "Oh, that was like, I had such a good time tonight." You're like, "Okay, that gets," you know what I mean?
That
So
gets
it's
you
like,
going. Yeah.
yeah, like you need it, but more on um just that, just I don't know, just
Like an extra. It should be
yeah.
something extra. Yeah.
Yeah, something extra. Like you have to be doing this stuff regardless of, as you said, like the pat on the back, the applause,
Hmm.
the accolades, the awards. Like you may or may not get those. They may or may not ever come.
Yeah.
But it
Very
also
true.
kind of overlaps. Like, look, you're here. You're clearly doing something that you enjoy. Like you
Yes, very
enjoy
much.
doing this,
Yeah.
and if you are able to and lucky enough to settle into doing the things that you enjoy, it should be pretty easy to not fall into that thing of relying on the applause.
Yeah.
You're enjoying, or we're enjoying what we're doing,
Hmm.
and um and not needing, as much validation from the outside. Don't get me wrong, it's great.
Yeah. It's
All there
great. Of
is. Like
course.
it certainly energizes you, but there's also times where you have to just like trod through it and do it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. And in order to be
Yep.
able to do that, if what you're doing is something that you love, that you care about, that you enjoy,
Hmm.
that's what like allows me to go through and do it in the times when you're like, uh, well,
Yeah, you don't
well,
feel, yeah, for sure. Okay, perfect. Well, that was fun. Nothing crazy, you
nothing
see?
crazy.
All right. So now we're going to talk the real things, and I would love to give you a proper introduction. So, I think that there are some people that just play music, right? But I think you're really entrenched in music. So I wouldn't say that you just play music. I would say you almost like carry it with you, like how you would, I'm dating myself here, but like carry records back in the day, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
um, but I think that persons like yourself understand that reggae and dancehall are not just genres, but that they're living histories, right? Like every song that's played, every dub that's dropped, every transition that you make while playing music, it's really a part of a cultural lineage that, like you mentioned earlier, began long before either of us were born and will exist long before we're gone, you know? And I think that's really amazing what you're able to do and how much you're able to affect persons. And I talked about this. I had a DJ on Ricky Platinum prior, and I talked about people don't really understand, I think, the psychology of DJing and what you guys have to do in order to understand what the crowd needs or what they want to hear. And I really think that's an art. So I commend you for that. Max, you've taken the tradition of Jamaican sound system culture from intimate spaces in New York City to stages across the world, not by imitation, but by study, by humility. And as I said, I can tell you have deep respect for the roots of the music, which I think is really important. I'm so excited to talk to you today. And for all of my guests, I like to go back to the beginning of when you first came in contact with music. So I would love for you to maybe share when you first heard reggae or dancehall music, or even when you first thought, wow, I want to be a part of this in some way.
No, I mean, well, thank you very much. It's a lovely introduction.
You're welcome.
Uh, I represent Brooklyn. I've been in Brooklyn for over 30 years,
Ah,
but I grew up in upstate New York, in Woodstock, in a small town called Woodstock, famous for the 1969 Woodstock Festival.
oh, nice.
Um,
Okay.
and so it's not far. It's about 2 hours from New York, but it's very rural. It's country. Like very
Oh,
quiet.
okay.
Leave the doors unlocked at night. Keys in the cars. When I grew up, especially in the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
and and so there was, in that era of when I was growing up, there was always, Woodstock is also a music town. It's like a rich history of music.
Hmm.
So, Bob and Peter Tosh and Toots and all of that stuff was in the kind of like catalog of anyone with, interesting, good, musical taste, along with, some with like Bob Dylan and, kind of classic rock stuff and all of that stuff. So
Yeah.
as a kid, all of that stuff was like around me. But my dad always, who listens to a lot of different music,
Hmm.
but very specifically, always, as well, always, as long as I was around, loved
Yeah.
reggae. And and so we had, like I said, again, the Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and all of that stuff, those albums. But also he had a friend who would go to Jamaica
Mhm.
and would bring back cassettes. And it was cassettes of early, like DJ, like dancehall, like Trinity, U-Roy, Dillinger, Lone Ranger, and that stuff.
Ah.
And that stuff, certainly at that time, and even now,
Mhm.
like that was not anywhere near kind of like a regular American musical consciousness. It still isn't. So though that would play in the house, so that was there from an early age, in the early '80s, and I kind of grew as like a younger kid getting into hip hop because of the proximity to New York, and we could listen
Mm.
to some New York radio. So this
Mhm.
is in, again, like the '80s, when hip hop is just growing. Hip hop, kind of born in the '70s, is kind of just growing, getting a footing in the '80s,
Mhm.
and I was very into that, and there was but also there's this like kind of very New York specific marriage of, obviously, dancehall and reggae and Jamaican sound system culture birthed hip hop. And being in New York, there were a lot of places to find those connections, um, in like music, like Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One, who used a lot of like, there would be like a lot of Jamaican slang and also sounds like dancehall rhythms would appear on in KRS-One's music. And I
Yeah.
always liked that stuff. So like as I came up, I was listening to hip hop, I was listening to reggae, was listening to house music, which is also like a very strong kind of like New York
Yeah.
subculture thing, especially at that time. And as I started buying records and DJing, it was pretty much equal parts hip hop, reggae, and house music. And that was just like what was in the air. DJ Red Alert on Kiss FM every
Mhm.
week. Um, Red Alert is from the Caribbean. He would always play a reggae set every Friday. And so
Oh,
that would be something that I would especially be looking out and listening out for. And
yeah.
then there were every Sunday on the two New York radio stations, KISS and BLS, the two
Hmm.
urban stations. There were each station had a reggae specialty show on Sundays, on Sunday evenings,
Okay.
and that was where my love for reggae and dancehall kind of exploded.
I love that. And so you garnered that love for reggae, dancehall, hip hop music. When did you know that you wanted to be a DJ though? Because you could just have loved the music and did something else. But when did you know that you really wanted to carry the music forward, as I said?
It's interesting because I've lived a life where I haven't really made a lot of plans.
Yeah.
So I was
Okay.
not someone that was like, I found it. I found DJing and music
Ah,
like pretty
okay.
young, but I didn't find it and then go, this is what I'm going to do. This is who I want to be. I just sort of
Got
like
you. Okay.
stumbled and ended up in it, um, by kind of following and pursuing. But also for a long time, um, I was again like heavily hip hop based, and
Yeah.
most of my kind of like first experience as um, years as a working DJ and getting more and more known
Hmm.
was as a hip hop DJ. But that also
Ah,
meant it from like a New York perspective. Like this would
yeah.
apply in New York, Toronto,
Hmm.
Atlanta, Florida, places where there's a big Caribbean diaspora,
Hmm.
London. That in a hip hop party, there's always a couple of reggae sets, and you would hear that. So
Yeah.
that would be kind of like the structure of what I would be playing. But most of a lot of my early DJ life was like really focused on hip hop, and I always enjoyed reggae and I always liked playing it, but I
Yeah.
hadn't gotten like super deep into it. Um, and like eventually after kind of like growing and getting more known and doing a bunch of years
Yeah.
of that, there was kind of a point where I was having less fun kind of like discovering and exploring and doing all of the hip hop stuff. And I did, and there was a lot of enjoyment in finding and discovering the dancehall and the reggae stuff. And there were a couple of people like along the way who were pretty influential and kind of like not like pushing me in those directions, but kind of
Yeah.
like opening doors by asking questions or, oh, you like reggae? Oh, what about this, that? And kind of like things that in retrospect was like, oh, that's a
Mm.
point where I went a few more steps in the direction of kind of like leading what ended up leading towards kind of shifting all of everything that I do in music to be focused on reggae in the Caribbean. And again, no plans. I just ended up there
Yeah.
because it was what I enjoyed doing. Federation Sound, we founded in 1999. It was myself, Kenny Mees from Philadelphia, and Cypher Sounds, who then ended up being on Hot 97.
Okay.
Uh, so it was the three of us, and it was sort of just we were all DJing, we were all working,
Hmm.
but we also were like had this like really kind of like passionate interest in reggae and dancehall. Uh,
Ah,
it wasn't something like, "Hey, let's come together and do this." It was
it just
like we
happened.
were kind of doing it, and
Yeah.
the way Federation Sound actually like fully came into existence was
Hmm.
prior to '99. Um, we just used Cypher came up with it,
Yeah.
the name. You talked about dating ourselves record. Um,
Yeah.
we were DJing all over the place, and that means
Yeah.
carrying out crates and crates of records, 4 or 5 crates of records. So that also means that every night one of us is out DJing. There's a crew of us. There's 5, there's 8, there's 10 people.
Mm.
And one, that's how everybody could get into the club free. Is like if you're carrying a
Okay.
crate, you're in. And
Yeah.
so
Interesting.
Cypher came up with was like, yo, we need something to identify our crew.
Yeah.
What's our crew? So when we're in the party, I can shout something on the mic and say, yo,
Ah.
instead of like shouting everybody's names. And
Okay.
he came up with the name Federation, which he came up with it from Star Trek because he's a huge Trekkie and a Star Trek nerd.
Okay.
The Federation. So
Interesting.
that's the action. So that's where the genesis of the name comes from.
Uh-huh.
And so we were using that prior for this kind of just extended family.
Yeah.
And Kenny was in Philly. Kenny and I had been getting way more into reggae, going out, buying more records, buying 7 inches. And we were like, it was just like, it was definitely a thing. And he made friends with the guy who had the main Dubplate studio in Philly.
Yeah.
This place, Ja Freedom. And so he would be out there and was like, oh man, I think it was like, oh, Junior Reed is coming. He was like, yo. And so, and this is getting into like really technical, nerdy stuff, but now you can kind of like get an acapella of anything. But like in those days, having an acapella to be able to do remixes with was like a huge thing. One of the things about voicing a dubplate is you would get the rhythm and the dubplate separate, and then you could do your mix of it. And so Kenny worked on the MPC and loved to do remixes.
Yeah.
So he was like, yo, let's put some money together and get this dubplate. So
from Junior Reed.
One Blood. So he was like, one, it'll be cool to play, but really he wanted to be able to like remix it and do stuff with it. And so we got the money together, voiced Junior Reed. There was no sound name. We didn't even have a sound name to give him. This is how we started.
Okay.
I don't think we even gave him our names. I think it was just like, yo, we'll have the acapella. I don't think that dub even has our names in it.
Wow.
And then I think a couple weeks later, Mr. Easy is in the studio.
Yeah.
In Philly.
Yeah.
And so we do the same thing. So there's Mr. Easy dubs that don't have a sound name in them.
Oh.
And then the next person that coming to the studio was Capleton. And Kenny was like, it's Capleton. Like, we gotta put a sound name together. And he was like, what do you think about using Federation? He was like, that's already kind of what you and Cypher are using in New York for your crew.
Smart. Yeah.
And we were like, Federation Sound. I called Cypher and he was like, hell yeah. And that was how it was born. It was this kind of like playing catch up. And so I'm pretty sure the first dubs that say Federation in them are these Capleton dubs that Kenny voiced. And that was like the birth of the sound, which was again like a major point in, and again at that time, most of my work and how I made a living was playing hip hop parties, big hip hop.
Oh, so that was a big transition, essentially.
Right. So it was like Kenny was doing his thing in Philly, I was doing my thing, Cypher was doing his own thing in New York as individual DJs, and then we also had this collective now of Federation Sound, and we had this place to focus and use to kind of push forward reggae and dancehall stuff. And it was like a years-long process of kind of like growing and growing and growing, enjoying that part of it more.
Yeah.
Having less enjoyment out of the hip-hop side of it. Yeah. We just ended up there. It wasn't like a conscious decision.
I love that story. Yeah, that's a beautiful story. And for those that don't really understand what sound system culture is, can you just explain like a brief summary of what the culture is and maybe why it's so foundational to reggae and dancehall? Because I think that's an important thing to note.
Yeah, absolutely. And, look, I'll preface that by saying Federation is very much not a traditional sound system in the way that I'll try to explain the kind of like what it really is. So that at the start, and I'll bring it back at the end, is like, but sound system culture is the DJ, the selector, the MC. This is really a team of people that are presenting the music. And it's this sort of like, if you think of presenting, you think of like a very formal radio presentation. And look, these things are related of like, and now we're going to play this new Beatles record on the radio, da, 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 da. And there's kind of like a very formal way that would happen on the radio. And a sound system is so sort of like those three people. And then what's the name? The sound system, the actual sound system that the organization, the team, you build your speakers, you build your amps. And then when you do that, you've got a speaker builder, you've got a technician, and all of these people that are a part of this team that the net result of that is playing music to a group of people. It could be indoors, it could be outdoors, it could be anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's this gathering of the community, of the broader community, whatever, to come hear the music, to come hear the latest music, to come hear what the MC has to say,
Yeah.
and listen to, who built the best set of speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Look, again, this goes back to records, and it goes back
Mm-hmm.
kind of even the next step of that is um, the availability of records in Jamaica of American music is what not an easy thing. And so,
Very true.
and also records are this is it's because it's just not this way anymore. But like records are a finite resource. resource.
Yeah. Yeah.
They pressed 1,000 copies of a record. There's 1,000 copies of it. There's no more. If you're the 1,001st person that wanted to buy that record,
Right.
you don't have that record. You can't
Yeah.
get it. So on Friday night at your big party, if that's the song that everybody loves,
Yeah.
you don't have it to play for them.
Yeah.
The people who the people who had it and had the good sound system and the good selector, that's where people would gravitate to, and then those people and those sound systems and those things become more and more powerful.
Yeah, because there's value in that
Because
exclusivity.
Right, because there's great value in that exclusivity. And it's interesting
Yeah.
because, look, that's certainly one of the things that we don't have now. And then sort of the next level in that exclusivity in like the sound system world comes when the sound systems have live artists emceeing on the sound system. And so that's starts with the relationships that those people have.
Yeah.
Now, in some cases, that's going to be based on, well, this person's got money to pay these people. And in some
True.
cases, in the very Jamaican sense, by whatever area you're from,
Yep.
these people are going to come out because
You're from that area.
And so for whatever reason, there's a multitude of reasons, but then it becomes a thing of not only the speakers, not only the records that you have, not only the selection, not only the DJ, not only all of those other things, but which artists come to represent for you, which artists come to represent for Kilimanjaro, which artists come to represent for Stereograph and those things and kind of become the even bigger parts of those teams.
Yeah, for sure.
And then that leads to dubplates and voicing. Like dubplate is a tricky word because like the dubplate is really kind of like the physical thing. And again, no historian, but people have their own takes on it. But I always feel like the term special encapsulates and is a great explanation for people who may not understand all of the thing of it is it's a special version of an artist's song for the sound system.
Got you.
It's a special. The dubplate, I use the word dubplate a lot, but again, it's a little bit, you need to know a little bit to know what that is.
What it
means.
You
gotta say that's the physical thing, a special, or a dubplate special, a special version. So then this thing of as it grows, certain artists are with certain things, but then you can voice a dubplate the same way we went and voiced Capleton. And then that night we can go play this Capleton that says Max Glazer, it says Kenny Mees, it says Cypher Sounds, and it says Federation Sound.
Yeah.
People will go, oh, okay, these guys, it's a, sort of like reputation points, a stripe. You could that's your stripe, and so when you start to have that, and so all of those things kind of are a lot of what comprise, the sound system and sound system culture. And then sort of to take it back to the beginning of like Federation being a very like we all come to it from outside as outsiders with a love. As I said earlier, like we started it as 3 individual DJs that were already out DJing, already had names and already did our thing. And then for me, in my view, Federation was this kind of like conglomeration of all those things. It didn't supersede and it didn't overtake it.
Right.
It was in addition to
I love
all of
that.
our individual things. So
Yeah.
we never built a physical sound system. And so never had to like, and
Ah,
for some people, and some people will say,
yeah.
that's not a sound. If you never had to load up the speaker boxes in the truck and break them
Yeah.
down at the end of the night. Also coming from our hip hop backgrounds and from
Hmm.
New York, that wasn't really a thing. I was working for years as a DJ. I would go to the club and the sound system is there. But I think
Yeah.
that's why we've just always approached it from where we've come from, and the experiences in music and life that have informed like who we are. And it's
I love that. Yeah.
three people that did not grow up in Jamaica and did not grow up with Uncle Sly, and that
Yeah.
just being a part of like your DNA.
Yeah.
Uh, it's something that we found, fell in love with, and have chosen to pursue. And I'm always very quick to point out, like, look, I'm a guy that grew up in America. And you said it at the beginning of this. Like, that's
Mhm.
one of the things that I appreciate most, like that acknowledgement or just recognition, because I don't think it's not a given, and not everyone has to feel this way. But
Yeah.
when like you said, someone who is actively taking a part and doing the work of spreading the music in that way,
Yeah.
that's sort of like the highest compliment.
Mm.
Because I love it. I care about it very much. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's my job. It's how I pay my bills.
Right.
So there's the sort of like on a business aspect of it.
Aspect
But
of
the
it. Yeah.
reason why this has become what I do to make a living is
Yeah.
because I love it. And
Mm.
like, so I always try to keep that as the
Core.
foundation of it.
Yeah.
And I,
No,
and, and,
for sure.
and I always hope that reflects and shines through. Some days you probably leave one of these recordings and go, that wasn't the best one I've ever done. And some days you probably leave like, and it's just a spectrum, because it's not
Yeah.
like there's no, it's not black or white. There's not a yes and there's not a no. It's
Exactly.
this is a conversation. So some conversations are better than others.
Yeah.
Um, and you kind of have to know that that's just a part of it. And to go back to what I said at the beginning, like if it's something that you enjoy and the
Hmm.
doing of it is something like I enjoy it. Like when I have a less than great DJ set, like it bums me out because I care
Mm.
about what I do.
Yeah.
But I also kind of go, well, there's going to be another one, and there's going to be another one, and
Yep. There you
another one.
go.
Also, for me, like in anything creative, yes, I have a reputation, and people are kind enough to um, say nice things to me based on, oh, I love this thing that you've done. I always listen to this. I've enjoyed this,
Hmm.
and that's amazing.
Yeah.
Also, when I go into a party to DJ tomorrow night, that may have been what got the promoter to call me or the person to book me or whatever. But and some people in that room may care about that, some may not, some may
Hmm.
know who I am, some may not.
Hmm.
And I still have to do a good job. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I still have to go in every day and do a good job. And it's not up to me. I can do my part, but
Hmm.
it's not solely up to me.
Absolutely. And I want to touch on something that you said earlier, a few things actually. You spoke it in the sense of what I'm doing, having a conversation, but I would say that what you're doing is also a conversation musically. It's a call and response like Uncle Toots used to love to do. That was like always his thing. And I find that with DJs, you guys do that in a similar way, right? So you can feel when like the crowd might not be feeling that last mix or, this song. So you have to kind of switch it up. And I think that's just such an important part of not only carrying Jamaican music to the world, but also the culture. And the second part of what I want to touch on is what you said about respect and authenticity, or reflecting on what I said. And for me, having grown up around a lot of the people that you name, I've seen them work very hard, like to bring their music to Glastonbury or Coachella or any of these big, stadiums or concerts that they go to. I see how much they not only enjoy what they do, similar to what you said, but I'm
Yeah.
talking like I've seen my dad have to wring out his shoes, not his shirt, his shoes from sweat. You know what I mean? And he loves it. And Uncle Toots loved it. Jackie Jackson, Uncle Jackie loved it. Like they genuinely love it. And even when the show doesn't go right or the sound is off or something, they still are making jokes and they're still having a great time because they actually love it. So I think as a Jamaican, when you see somebody that not only enjoys it, because that's reflective, personally, I don't think you can fake that. That's just me. I think you either love it or you don't. And I think that authenticity really matters. So the fact that all three of you collectively or individually acknowledge, like, we didn't do the traditional route, we didn't do this, but this is our thing, to me, and I can obviously only speak for myself, but based on what you guys have built and are continuing to build, I think that's what people respect. I think when people come into a culture and just feel like they belong and they can do whatever they want because they know such and such, or like you said, maybe they have money, that's when we as a culture, Jamaicans, Caribbean people, are looking like, who are you? You know what I mean? So I think it's twofold. I think that the way that you present yourself, the way you carry yourself, the respect that you have for the culture and the persons before you that have made those sacrifices, I like to say, because as I've told you, every time I hear stories, I have so many questions because, you know, I'm coming up in this era where I'm like, wait, Dad, how could they do that? Like, Uncle Ken, what do you mean they didn't pay you? Like, what do you mean? Because I can't like fathom, you know, just because of how big they were. But it's a real thing. Until this day, some of them are just getting caught up on being paid on stuff they did 50 odd years ago, you know? So I just want you to know that's coming from a real place and from a person that has really seen what music can do to people. I know it's like trendy to say like, oh, music heals people, but I've seen it. I've looked out into crowds and seen people, you know, don't even speak English and they know every single word. You know, they're jumping up and down. Some of them are crying. And to see my dad, like other band members, Uncle Toots interact with them, like they appreciate the fans, right? And so I just think you should know that somebody probably came to a party or is going to go to a party tomorrow that had the worst week of their lives.
Oh, yeah.
And something you played or a set you played or the way you put the music together maybe reminded them of their childhood or something. You know, music is associated to memory, right? And so like you too are helping to heal people in your own way. And I think that's really really important to acknowledge, because I think sometimes when you're in a creative field, person just think, oh, you're just playing records, like especially nowadays. Because
Well, look,
you
no,
know,
it's really interesting that you brought it to that because, you know, some days, this is like this is what it's like with creative things.
yeah,
It's some days I go, I feel like playing music is like, especially with like the state of the world and just everything, and you
yeah,
go, this is like this is the trivial, this is the least important, like, and it's not knocking it, but it's just
yeah,
like, look, I understand this is like the least important thing. Like if you listed like the important things going on in the world, like this is kind of like whatever. And the next day I could do something or see something or be in a place where I go, this is the most important thing in the world. Not me doing it, but like what we do is more important
as a
than brain,
collective,
it's more
yeah,
important than brain surgery. It's more important than an astronaut flying to the moon. And then the next day it could be like, this is meaning like, we're just playing music. This is not that serious. But you know what I mean? But I think like
yeah,
I hold those two things in me at all times. And it's sort of like you have to, because if you go all the way in the one way of like, you could take yourself too seriously.
of
And
course. And
and
that not sound safe. I know you won't say
that
it,
is
but I'll
not safe
say
at
it.
all. And it's not it, it's not what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
And but also it is so important and it is
Hmm.
so serious and it is so meaningful that if you just totally disregard the value of it, even if
Yeah.
you're good at it and even if it's what you do, so it's like
Hmm.
that those that kind of ping ponging back and forth thought is, you know, is one that I have a lot. That
Ah, interesting.
and it kind of balances itself out
Yeah.
because
Yeah, it's definitely a feel. And
yeah.
speaking of that, what would you or who would you say I should phrase it like that. Who would you say was one of, and this might be kind of hard for you because I know you've worked with so many, but who would you say you have a standout memory with as far as a dancehall artist?
These are the times that like I get chills up the back of my neck, and I just feel like yeah. I'll rattle off a few.
Okay,
Um,
sure.
of like being on stage, and I've done it a zillion times.
Mhm.
DJing with Sean Paul performing.
Yeah.
And I've known Sean. Sean, we've known each other since about '99.
Oh, wow.
Bald head and ski goggles on. Um, like original.
Original Sean Paul, yeah.
Um, and he's a great guy, and we've always just like kept the link. And so
Yeah.
in a lot of those, and not recently, but like in a lot of those early years,
Mhm.
he would come to New York, and you know his brother is a great DJ from a great sound system called Copper Shot. Big up Jig Dag, which is his
Okay,
brother,
yes, that's
and
true, yes.
Copper Sean, Sean from Copper Shot
Yeah.
is his tour DJ. If you go see Sean Paul perform tonight, you'll see um, his brother
Mhm.
Jason, who you can't mistake, looks just like him.
Yeah,
Um,
they do look alike, yeah.
and DJing, you'll see Sean, Copper Sean,
Mhm.
and the two of them are from a sound called Copper Shot.
Ah,
Great
nice.
and but so like in the early days, and just wasn't traveling, so Sean would
Yeah.
come up, and then they would call me. I ended up DJing for him on BET one time because they're in New York, and he's going to go do 106th and Park,
Oh,
and
nice.
like, yo, can you come DJ? And then he would also, and even to this day, would be so like kind enough to like, yo, I've got a party over here. If you're in town, come through. And he's one of those
Yeah.
people that will just come through.
Yeah.
And
My
so
dad
like
always has said he's a very nice person.
he's a wonderful person. He's a
Yeah.
wonderful musician, wonderful artist. He's just a good person. That's
Yeah.
like the guy that he is.
Yeah.
Um, and so to be standing somewhere in a club or on a stage, and like for me, be part of like that musical conversation, that
Uh-huh.
performance.
Uh-huh.
And I don't look at it like, ooh, I'm on stage. Like for me, it's like the like the collaboration with the person.
Mm.
I've done 2 or 3
Yeah.
full tours with Chronixx, and we'll do
Oh,
40
nice.
shows, and like night after night after night,
Yeah.
and you know, open up
It's
those shows,
amazing.
and then we'll go do an after party. And so
Yeah.
those interaction, a couple of years ago we did an anniversary show for Federation
Mhm.
in Brooklyn, and
Oh,
that was just like a host of friends and family. It was like Red Fox, Screechy Dan, Mr. Lex, Tifa,
wow.
all these people, from blanking out on him, and Shaggy was kind enough to come and perform.
Nice. Yeah.
So like that was like a really special moment, um, to see all those people kind of come and support. And again, it's that acknowledgement of, you know, like there's a friendship over years. These are personal friends, but I
Yeah.
do feel like it's an acknowledgement of the, you know, mutual respect of,
Mhm.
you know, of what we've done. But like all of my time, I mean, I've like doing a radio show and playing the music for Sprague Benz, who's one of my all-time favorite artists, and my favorite
Ah,
voices. So it's like each one of those things,
it's
every
special.
time it happens, is super special. Like,
Yeah. No pun intended, guys.
no, yeah, exactly.
Special.
But if you had to force me to, I've got to do that with Beanie Man at my friend's wedding. We got Beanie, and he came and performed at
Oh,
one of my partners in Federation, DJ Dangles, at his wedding in the grill, and I got to
oh,
play the music. And so it's like standing there doing that, because again,
yeah. Oh, that's so
this I'll tell you,
lovely.
one of the things and one of the reasons that I love sort of dancehall and
Yeah.
reggae. There's some of this in hip hop, but there's
Yeah.
less. Is that there's a conversation going on between artist and DJ. And
Mhm.
there should be, when it's done right and
Yeah.
firing all cylinders.
Yeah.
I'm watching the artist who's on stage
Mhm.
for like body language, for signals, whether it's, some people will say level on the mic, some people will just behind the back give you a like this,
Yeah.
a visual signal, or
Okay.
like
Okay.
a
Yeah.
like the band leader in the band
Oh,
would say,
yeah. Yeah.
all right,
That's my
all
dad.
right, we're
Yeah.
gonna, yes. Oh, your dad was the band leader,
Yeah, he was.
right? So he's the guy that would go, and again, this could be pre-planned, or
Mm-hmm.
also he's watching the vibe of
Yep, that's my
his
dad.
singer
Yep.
and go, okay, hold on. I want everybody to go low right now,
Mm-hmm.
because he's watching his singer's energy. He's watching the crowd. He's watching. So you have all the rehearsed stuff,
Yeah.
but then you have this stuff
That
that's
happens naturally. Yeah.
environmentally dependent and on the people. So like that's the thing that I love
I
about that
love
DJing
that.
for a reggae
Yeah.
artist is um and look, doing it for Beanie Man, and he does this with everybody.
Yeah.
Part of Beanie's thing is he'll get a forward by jokes on his selectors at his selector's expense. He'll
Okay.
always, like, he's done it for years. Like
Yeah.
if there's like a little thing, like, he'll turn around and be like, "Watch it," and it doesn't like it's like
In
it
jest.
looks like he's serious, but it's a part of
Yeah.
the act. Like it's a part of the act.
Okay.
But he's gonna so
Yeah.
have to be there and be like fully present, fully locked in, fully focused on the person that you're doing that
Yeah.
with. And so for me, getting to do that with the people who are
I love
the
that.
best in the world at it, the best ever at it. When you talk
Mm-hmm.
about Beanie, you talk about Shaggy, you talk about Sean, you talk
Yeah.
about Chronixx, is an amazing experience because you like you have to do your part. So it's this pressure,
Yeah.
but it's a great pressure. Like,
Good
okay,
pressure. Yeah.
something important is going on here. I'm a part of it. We're doing it together as the performers, and all of these people here are also a part of it. I love that. I love that more than
Yeah, I love that. Like I said, I figured that would be hard for you to choose
yeah,
because
right.
you've worked with so many, but I love that you explain that because as I mentioned, I've seen that like in the live music, but I didn't realize that also happens with DJs as well. So that's interesting to note that,
Oh,
the artists do that as well
yeah.
because it makes sense.
Doing that with Vibes, like same on stage with Vibes Cartel, like doing those
Oh,
things, and like
yeah.
all that stuff is crazy. And like I know you said you just spoke to Ricky Platinum,
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
Ricky is amazing. Like, and
Yeah.
he's someone who is, and you watch it, and one, there's a couple of things, like some of the things that I've talked about, like his love for it shows,
Oh, yeah.
and like
100%.
the level that he's in tune with the crowd is
Mhm.
like supernatural. Watching Ricky Platinum,
Mhm.
it looks like this is someone that's born to do this.
I 100% agree.
Born to do this.
Yep.
And now it may take a lot of work for it to look that way,
Yeah,
but,
of course.
but in terms of the
But he has it
entertaining,
in him.
that's what it's supposed to look like the
Mhm.
highest level. And whether just being in tune with the crowd, the individuals, everything that's going on,
Yeah.
like you see that, and that really shines through and reflects in like what he does, and also like the personality that he does it with.
Yes, yes, for sure, for sure. And speaking of Vibes Cartel, what was your relationship like with him back in the day? Because he was gone for so long and now he's come back and taken the world by storm, selling out stadiums and all of these amazing accomplishments that he's had in the last year.
I always had a great relationship with him. We kind of we started working together like really early on.
Oh,
I
okay.
was 2001, we did a mixtape project together.
Okay.
And, I had been DJing for a long time, but again, the sound was just officially founded in 99. There was a ton about dancehall and reggae in Jamaica that I had no clue about. There's still a ton of things that I don't
Yeah.
know. Like, I don't claim to be an expert. I know what I know, but that's one of the fun things
Yeah,
is
of
like I'm
course.
still learning.
Learning. Yep. That's
And
awesome.
he was super hot in Jamaica,
Yeah.
but it was still very new. But we just kind of got connected
Yeah.
by my friend Jackie Jusium, who was working with Green Sleeves, who had just signed him, and
Oh, okay.
she was like, "You guys should do a mixtape with Vibes Cartel."
Yeah.
And I flew down there, and we sat in a room for, I don't know, I want to say 7 hours, and recorded like, you know,
Oh.
20 kind of dubplates, freestyles um, for this mixtape. We did it in Portmore in Cassette Jones, if you remember, like the guy who record all the dances and would sell them in Halfway Tree.
Oh,
A really
you taught
important
me
person,
something. I didn't know
really
that.
important person in the kind of like long history of dancehall, and very
Okay.
important in exporting and growing like sound system culture,
Oh, wow.
because he would
Interesting.
be at every dance, would record,
Mm-hmm.
go make all the duplicates, sell them. I believe maybe not at first, but eventually in Halfway Tree, not Halfway Tree, at Crossroads,
Crossroads. Okay.
Crossroads,
Got you.
and um, and those cassettes would then go to people, would go to a cousin, it would go to a friend,
Mm.
would fly out to New York. Those would get passed around. They would get dubbed off, and stores in New York would be selling them. So one of those things that
Oh,
was like really
wow.
important in, and he's not the only person that was doing it, but
Yeah,
he was
yeah,
one of the big names that was doing it. And
yeah.
that was really like my first experience with Vybz Kartel and with us working
Nice.
together. And
Yeah.
even then, like the way he worked was really unique and
Mm-hmm.
really fast and really smart and precise, like just really good at,
Yeah.
like I just want to say like his job, like the mechanics of his job of lyrics and words and
Oh,
recording.
wow.
um and so we made this mixtape that was very widely, that really got out there, and so it sort of kind of established this relationship,
Oh, wow.
that we, myself and Federation Sound and Cartel had,
Mm-hmm.
that um that we've kind of always just been able to continue that, whether it was on a, on a working thing. When he first started coming up to New York, we would
Yeah.
go to my house, like we would go to my apartment and record Dubplates,
Oh,
and
cool.
a bunch of like, I recorded in another friend's studio, but one of his kind of first big features was, do
Mm-hmm.
you remember the Nina Sky record,
Yeah.
Move Your Body,
Mm-hmm.
which was a sort of like coolie dance rhythm, I think.
Yeah.
So I
I
had
think
taken
so.
a
That sounds
rhythm
right.
and
Yeah.
kind of like added a little music, and then the song blew up. And then that was Cypher, who was a part of the original founding of Federation Sound.
Uh-huh.
Cypher actually discovered Nina Sky,
Oh, I never
put
knew
that record
that.
together.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then the record blew up,
Yeah.
and he was like, Vibes Cartel said he'll do a verse for the remix,
Mm.
but like they could never get him in the studio to do it.
Yeah.
And then I was just with him one day, and I was like,
Yeah.
yo, do you still need to get this done? And he was like, yes, please. I need the verse for this. We're just waiting. We're waiting. And
Yeah.
so I just took him to the studio, and we went and like recorded, recorded his verse for that. They got it to Cypher,
Wow.
like another one. I don't know if you know, do you remember there was a remix of the Pharrell and Jay-Z Frontin' song that
Yeah.
has Cartel and Wayne Marshall on it?
Oh, no, I've never heard that. Oh, I feel like I need
It,
to take notes.
it's a really interesting one. And so that was a remix that we produced under the name Triple
Okay.
Crown, which was
Triple
myself,
Crown.
Cypher, and another gentleman named Disco D.
Okay.
Also a
Okay.
part of Federation, but this was kind of like a separate thing called Triple Crown. Cypher was working for Pharrell at the time as an A
Okay.
for Star Trek, and he was like, "Yo, let me do a remix. Let me do a dancehall remix. Let me do a dancehall remix."
Yeah.
So they gave it to us, and we put Vybz Kartel and Wayne Marshall on this remix of
Oh,
a Pharrell and Jay Z
wow.
record.
Oh
Uh,
my gosh, I need to look that up.
yeah, it's an interesting one. It
Yeah.
never got like super big, but when
Okay.
you catch it,
Okay.
it's like, oh wow. And it came out officially and kind of like, all of this stuff. So we just always had like a really good
I love that. Very nice.
working relationship with Cartel, and he
Yeah.
would come up here and would spend a lot of time. I DJ'd a lot of early stuff for him
Mm-hmm.
up here when he would have shows, and we would go do stuff, and stuff like recording these verses, recording
Yeah.
Dogs. We did another mixtape, done a couple of original songs together. And he's
Very
another
nice.
person, like I really feel fortunate to be able to be around, work with, and like kind of share this musical whatever with people who are really the best at it in the world. It's a really cool thing. Like I still, even haven't done it for this long. I think it's really cool. I love that this is what I get to wake up and do.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, wow, amazing. Okay, so last question before our rapid fire segment.
All right.
What does it mean to you, I'd say personally, to carry Jamaican culture into rooms that may have never experienced it before?
It's a great question. I always I feel proud.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel a weight of responsibility in doing that for
Yeah.
sure. Um, to, to represent it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I hope that I do. Um,
Absolutely.
and I also, yeah, I feel those are probably the two main things. And I mean, I'm honored for the opportunity. Like, look, I'm there's a bunch of factors, but like, so I've taken this up and I care about it, and
Mm-hmm.
also very clear that as a white foreigner, there are opportunities that I'm going to have and be given that um, other people may not, or there may be they may have those opportunities, but maybe after five other steps, um,
Mm.
and also like where we're not that the world is healed, but also now in 2026, things are a lot different than they were in 98, 99, and in the early
Right.
2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And in going able to, in being able to, do some things that may be more corporate aligned or whatever.
Yeah.
That if for whatever reason, like, look, I just do what I do, and like the factors of who I am and what I am and what the music is, like those just exist, whether I acknowledge them or not.
Right. Of
Um,
course. Yeah.
so I just try to do what I do as well as possible. Like I try to do that across the board. And if in in opportunities that I've got to represent dancehall and represent reggae, and if you want to take it even further, like I
Mhm.
just think by default that also means representing Jamaica, because
Yep.
those things are so they're inextricable. They're so closely tied. One of my goals, and I think one of the things that Federation Sound has worked at and done overall,
Mm-hmm.
is to intentionally push forward and try to reach people that aren't like beating down the door to be like, tell me more about this dance hall. Tell me more about that. Another one of the greatest things I've had people tell me is, yo, like I discovered your podcast, or I discovered this mixtape, or I discovered Federation Sound,
Mm-hmm.
and that led me to this other thing, or even better, that led me to a love of dancehall and a love of
Oh.
reggae.
Oh, I love
Um,
that.
that's like
That's the goal.
that's again one of these, like
Yeah.
the highest compliments for me that I could ever hear, because I remember being that person
Mm-hmm.
and like discovering these things and
Mm-hmm.
through whatever. And I've said the same things to Red Alert, and I've said that to Bobby Condors and to Sting International, the people, David
Mm.
Rodigan and Rory, like the
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
that um that I was listening to, that made me be like, wow, like I want to know more about this. So I think for a long time I didn't have that thought formulated in like a conscious way.
Right.
But
Right.
as we've grown and done this more and more and get to talk to people about it, that that kind of idea has crystallized for me,
Mm-hmm.
of wanting to, like, of course, on a personal, like, of course I want people to love something that like I create. I want you to love the mixtape that I made with Chronixx. I really like, and I love it.
Yeah.
Because I love it, and I think it's like I enjoy listening to it outside of like, oh, we made this. And so I like, yeah, that's kind of just the overarching thing.
I
Like
love
I
that.
want people
Yeah.
to love and enjoy it. You want to have like a legacy. We've contributed
Uh-huh.
to the culture of dancehall and reggae that will stand the test of time and will
Yeah.
be there for future generations um, to listen and love. Part of it is like the experience of it. Like when I talk about like being on stage with Beanie Man, like you get something of that when you listen to it or you watch it on video.
Mm-hmm.
But look, you've been around live music your whole life. There's a part of it that doesn't translate unless you're there.
Unless you're there. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I think it's important that all of those things continue to exist.
Yeah. Beautifully said. So I'm going to ask you a few rapid fire questions,
Uh-oh.
and I would love for you to answer. Don't worry, it's not
Uh-oh.
scary. I would love for you to answer with the first thing that comes to mind. What is one song that never fails to get the crowd just excited anywhere in the world, you would say?
Dawn Penn, no. I did it last night. So there's easy. I mean, there's a long list of songs, but
Okay.
like anytime, start of the set, Dawn Penn, no. They're gonna sing it. They're gonna love it.
Dawn
All
Penn.
generations, easy.
Nice. Okay, nice. Name a dancehall artist that you think every DJ should understand deeply.
Vybz Kartel.
Hey, love it. A reggae record that gives you chills every time, like it's the first time you're hearing it.
This is not as easy.
I know. That's a hard
There's a
one.
lot.
That's a hard.
I'll give you a couple. I'll give you three different generations.
Okay. Three is good. Give me three.
Barrington Levy, Murderer.
Okay. Good one.
Damian Marley, Welcome to Jam Rock. Spanish Town Rockin' by Chronixx.
Ah, those are three good ones. Love it. The hardest crowd you've had to win over.
Well, there's actually an easy answer to this.
Oh, okay.
Because the way you phrased this question doesn't imply that I did win them over. That I have had. That the challenge has been to win them over.
That's true.
And it would be fully loaded in James Bond Beach. I don't even know what year. I've kind of blanked out the whole thing.
Okay.
It was probably 10,000 people, and I clearly did not win them over.
Okay, that's fine.
And I still cherish the experience and the opportunity of having been able to do that. Yeah. And that was one of those, like, I didn't win that day. Did not win that day, but we're still here.
Love that. Name your top 5. I'll give you 5 because this is going to be difficult. Your top 5 favorite old school reggae rock steady songs, or if you can't name songs, the artist from like 70s, I'd say to 90s. That's what I consider old school.
Okay, so right. Okay, so my era is going to be like more 80s and 90s. In terms of like importance, I could give you 5 Supercat songs, and that would be like a somewhat legit answer, but like Supercat, Ghetto Red Hot.
Okay.
Johnny Osborne, Buddha Bye. Tenor Saw, Ring the Alarm. Half Pint, Greetings.
That's a good one.
Dennis Brown, Here I Come.
Ooh,
that's 5. And there's
like Dennis Brown.
But you see where like my kind of sweet spot and the things that are going to come first to my mind are where I was discovering really like my love of dancehall and reggae, because all the 70s and 70s stuff I learned about afterwards.
I love that. Okay, last question. One word that describes Federation sound.
Ambassadors.
I love that. Well, this is the last part of the show where I do my thank you. And I always tell people, please, no crying, because I will start crying. And we both can't be on here crying,
We definitely both can't. That's not professional at all.
But it's something I like to do, just to not only thank my guests for being here, but just kind of wrap up our conversation and acknowledge just the significance of all the work that you've done. So, Max, wow, we had like such an eclectic conversation, and I think it hit like so many important parts, which I always love because, as I mentioned before we started, like I just love music, and obviously you would know why I've been around it my whole life. So having these conversations really mean a lot to me, and I learned so much about you in this conversation. Listening to your story and even just listening to you speak, to me, it's even more clear that what you do is not performative, right? It's really stewardship, I'd say. And as you explained, you've spent years studying, honoring, respecting, and carrying the culture that didn't begin with you, but has been made richer because of how carefully you've handled it in your own way. I think that there's something powerful about the way that you even describe DJing, right? Not as in controlling a room, but listening to the room and then playing songs that the room can respond to or enjoy, right? And what tops that would be your humility, being authentic in who you are, making it known that you respect and appreciate Jamaican culture and the sound, I think is why you have gone so far, why you'll continue to have longevity, because especially in these times, people really appreciate authenticity. And I really appreciate that as someone that just overall loves music. And so just the way you speak about Jamaica, the way you speak about, the elders, the pioneers in the music, about music in general, I think is just amazing. And I think that that's because of the true respect that you have for it. And I think that really shows up in how you carry yourself and how you carry the work, and why people um have that level of respect for you, myself included. So thank you so much for all the work that you've done and continue to do to make sure that reggae and dancehall aren't just heard, but that they're really understood, and thank you for coming to talk the things with me.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the kind introduction and the kind end words. I really appreciate it.
Of course, no problem. And do you want to tell people like where they can find you or anything like that?
Oh yeah, of course we should do that too.
Yeah.
You know, can always find me on Instagram at Max Glazer at Federation Sound. That's sort of the main hub for any events, any new projects, all that stuff will be listed on there. I'm also on the radio. I have 2 radio shows on 94.7 The Block in New York. You can listen online on the Odyssey app or odyssey.com. Every Thursday from at noon, we do a 12 o'clock dancehall and reggae show every Thursday, and then on Saturdays from 4 to 6 we have a 2-hour dancehall specialty show, which I'm also very proud of both of those shows because we're on an American contemporary urban throwback station. So we're a specialty show, 2 specialty shows just for dancehall and reggae. So like part of the whole mission. So you can listen to me on there. All of the shows go up on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Federation Sound. And that's where we are.
I love it.